Bro, I think that's literally the trajectory of like a lot of boys.
Absolutely. It's like addictive personalities can be channeled for good or bad, and it's up to you to decide how to use it. But with the shrooms thing, right? So I started doing it with her and like her friend group and stuff like that. And I like there was a period of time where I was doing like shrooms probably like once every 2 weeks.
Mate, that's pretty heavy, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I was in a fucking wild period of life.
Yeah.
I had a crazy phase. But
How long is this phase lasting for?
not too long. It was like when I was pretty much done with college, and I was like, I'm gonna drop out. And I was kind of just like, I don't know what the fuck I wanted to do. I wasn't happy with college. But then this one time I did it with my friends. It was like a random fucking Wednesday.
Wednesday night shroom sesh.
And
It's a school night, bruv.
Yeah. We weren't attending too many classes, Yeah. I was trying to be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's doing shrooms on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did it. And I was like, I don't know, like an eighth, like 3.5 grams, whatever. I don't know if that's a good chunk.
It's enough.
It's enough. It's more than enough. And when I did it, it was weird. Like it was a different aura. And I was sitting there. I had like some closer, like you call them mates, friends that I trusted. And then there were some people that were like, they're like kind of shady. Like
It's weird because you can sense their energy, can't you?
You feel the energy big time. And I could see it. Like this was what was crazy. Was I was hanging around with like my close friends that I trusted deeply, like just good, genuine people. And they were all outlined in green, like their whole body, like outlined in like a green, like aura, like bright luminescent light. And I was too. And then one of the people who I don't trust as much, I won't say his name, I went to walk over to him to like grab something.
It's red.
He's all outlined in red.
Oh, wow.
Like three or four of them. And I start walking over there and I look down at myself and I start being outlined in red. The closer I get, I turn more to an outline of red.
That's mental.
Versus green. And like, I just walked out of the room and just went into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I don't know if it was like God talking to me or just the shrooms talking or whatever, but I literally had this thought in my head that it's like, if you keep hanging around with these fucking bums, like you're going to be a bum and you have so much potential. But if you're being around bums and doing shrooms on a Wednesday and just doing dumb shit, like you're going to waste all your potential. Eventually you're going to be like these people outlined in red. Or you could stop doing this and like take this moment and actually like run with it and like let this resonate with you and change your actions and drop this girl you're dating, drop all these dumbass friends, get out of college and just like go hard, because I knew internally like I had something inside of me that had a ton of potential and I was using like 0.5% of it. And that trip was what made me get my shit together.
It's crazy, isn't it? How like when you are on like psychedelics, like that level of consciousness is just like at a whole new level. It's like you prestige. You play COD back in the day, yeah? Yeah. So like you prestige like 2, 3 normal energy levels, but like when you're on shrooms or something along those lines, like you're up to like a prestige 7 or prestige 6. And when you're at that level, you almost like look at yourself from like a holistic view, an external like out of body experience, and you can basically dissect yourself and analyze yourself and make adjustments based on that current moment, but outside of your own body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like looking at your own life from like a bird's eye view, like 1,000 miles zoomed out, like, oh, I should probably like be more healthier here and do this differently and maybe get away from this person and do more of this.
Yeah, and it's weird because like when, and you know it as well, like when you smoke weed, for example, like now at like 28 years old, I get super introspective.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
Well, to be fair,
it is horrible because it's not even fun anymore.
In the moment, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But like, I can't remember the last time we did it, whether it was like a year or 2 ago, but in the moment it's horrible because you get really introspective. You have probably not as intense as what you had on shrooms, but you have moments where you're like, like, should I have done that or should I have treated them like that? But when you take a step out of it, like a month later, you're like, like, it was actually good to have that introspective period.
100%. And it's really good. But like, I don't even know what that is because it's not like your subconscious. It's like an external version of yourself who can actually be truthful and authentic with you in that moment.
Just no ego.
Yeah.
Just your ego's just dissected.
It's weird though, isn't it?
Brutal talk to yourself.
It's a mental practice that I do without anything, because it's like, it can stem from shrooms or stem from weed, but like, it's not the best to smoke a shit ton of weed and do a shit ton of
100%.
No, not at all.
But that mental practice and is good to have. So like in the morning when I like journal shit out, it's like if there were a clone of me and I were my own mentor and I was paid to mentor myself, what would I say to myself right now?
What did you say to yourself this morning then?
let's get some fucking coffee.
All right. What do you usually say to yourself?
Yeah. It's usually just like if I was on a consulting call with myself, like right now, like the way that we're going to scale our business is like do more outbound to get more businesses and spend more money on ads to like get more clients. And it's like when I'm like consulting a sales team or like a business, it's so obvious to me because I'm from the outside looking in. But when it's your own shit, you don't take your own advice.
Yeah, that's why a coach is so valuable though, right?
Oh my God, yes. I've spent like $250,000 on courses, coaches, mentorships, masterminds, all types of fun stuff like that. And the return I've got is stupid. So that's kind of it for me. It's just like the obvious things. It's like, if I were paid to do this, it would be like, duh, do this. So it's always nuanced to what specific thing is going on in my business or personal life. So it depends.
Yeah, for sure. That journaling and that gratitude and like those like micro tasks in the morning are actually invaluable.
Yeah.
But like, mate, I always slack on them.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like even with like personal development stuff, which I know is really, really valuable for me, like everyone already knows like the right things to do for yourself to put you in a good state to actually perform at the right level. But like we always like kind of let them slide. I can't remember the guy that's like trying to live forever.
I know what you're talking about.
He sold Braintree for £800 million. I can't remember his name. It might be Brian. I don't know.
Brian Johnson, is it?
Brian Johnson. That's the one.
Yeah.
Is that the guy you sent me a video from the other day?
Yeah. Like this guy's a fucking vampire, mate. He's an absolute like, mate. His body fat's 4%, by the way, which is mental. But like he has like basically one thing that he will not budge on whatsoever, which is sleep. And the correlation with sleep and performance is like literally aligned fully.
Yeah.
And he will just not compromise on it. But I started like thinking about myself after I was watching it, and I was thinking like, I compromise on that all the time.
I got like 4 hours of sleep.
And like the journaling exercise and like the personal development stuff is like, it's so beneficial, but like you let it slide.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I usually go through like a yearly process where, not necessarily the start of the year, but at some point in the year, I'm like, right, I've got to actually do this now, the journaling, the gratitude in the morning, and then I do like a little stint of it, and then I just stop doing it.
Yeah.
But one thing that stays consistent with me is just the meditation. That will always stay continuous, but the journaling for me is just like...
It's funny because that is so like, so you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, like you are a meditator.
Yeah,
do you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I find it difficult to meditate.
Yeah, I like, I'll start and I'm like, yeah, I'm just staring at the wall. Like I'm super ADD. So like, I'm like fucking all in, all out. Like I'm like full bore doing it, or I'm full bore not doing it. And I think that's what makes it such a big daunting task in my brain. I think a lot of people are entrepreneurial. I don't even like to give myself the like ADD label, but like,
You just gave it to yourself, mate.
Yeah, I just... Well, the doctor did too, but fuck that guy. But yeah, because of that, I think mentally I make it a huge task, so it feels daunting to do. So the way that I could like navigate around that, just like weird nuances with myself, is it's like I just read 10 pages a day and I have to fill a page of notes.
Yeah.
So the page of notes be like, I don't know what to write, but I'm writing, and then what's on my mind right now? Oh yeah. This was interesting, and then like that's literally what I'm writing.
Yeah.
So I don't make the goal to journal or like to get something out of it. It's just like the task. So it's just like fill a page.
I'm completely with you, but I'm such an all or nothing person. It's like when I did 75 hard, when I was in the midst of it, I'm like, this is the best feeling ever. Yeah. Like when I joined a new offer, I was like doing script practice every morning for 2 hours, call recordings, like listening throughout all my calls. Like that is like me all in. But then when I lose like that momentum, I'm just like a fat slob, bro. Like I don't do my meditation, positive affirmations, don't get enough sleep, don't train properly, don't eat properly. Like, and it's just like almost like a fucking whirlpool of just like negative emotions, and then also like guilt because I know I should be doing more.
Yeah, it's true. Have you ever tried 75 hard?
Yeah, I finished it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How good is it?
It was nice. So it
was nice.
I
did
it.
Nice.
I did it once for like a week, and I just like wasn't really trying.
That don't count.
And then not at all. And then the second time I like finished it, and the reason, so I did it when I moved to Miami.
Cool.
Because Miami, like whatever you think of Miami is what Miami is. Like,
Temptations.
Yeah, big party culture there, very like rah flashy, right? So I was like, I love going out having a good time, of course, but like I don't want to be indulged in that crowd to where people are hitting me up every single day. Yo, let's go out. Yo, I'm not doing that shit. Like I drink like maybe once every 2 weeks, right? Like if there's something happening, I will.
That's quite a lot. Once every 2 weeks.
How old are you?
Twice, 23.
Oh,
20,
fair.
almost,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah.
I'm young as fuck.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, how do I like not get in this crowd? So I did 75 hard because it's like no alcohol, right? And independent of that, I just thought it was good. Like I was working so much. I was a fat fuck. I was like, not fat, but my terms of fat. I was like 15 pounds heavier and 10 pounds heavier than I should have been. So it was like partial fitness and then partial just like being in the right crowd. And just like, I think when you're in a new environment, people don't know you.
Yep.
They only know the you that shows up. So I wanted them to know me as a person with boundaries and limitations to where you can't just like, I'm not malleable. Like this is what I am and I don't budge. Like the TV thing you mentioned, right? So that's why I did it. And it was phenomenal. Like I lost 15 pounds. My bench, my squat, my deadlift jumped a ton. Like weight wise, I literally doubled the revenue in my business. I just felt good. Like I had so much mental clarity.
Yeah.
Like my brain wasn't foggy at all. I was just sharp.
Do you know what I think the biggest benefit of 75 hard is? For me, easily, it was the fact that like I just had consistency with food.
Yeah.
So like there's no energy level spike. There's no like hunger stages, or if I was hungry, it was because it was like delayed hunger, which I already knew was coming, which means I could focus more. Like I kept my carbs to a minimal, and my carbs were like later in the day as well. So like that clarity in the morning was just like elite. But then after, the come down of it's horrible. Mate, day 76, do you know what I did? I'm actually a sloppy guy.
Dominoes.
I got Dommies,
You've
bro.
got Dominoes.
Got a Dommies,
Do
bro.
you guys have Little Caesars here?
Nah, I don't even know what that is, bro.
It is a $5 within 5 minutes pizza. It is trash. It is rubbish.
Yeah. But like that's what you're craving, isn't it?
I'm like, give me the sloppiest, shittiest food you could find. I'm going out. Like, I'm going to destroy my body by 76.
Mate, when I woke up in the morning, genuinely, and I'm not even exaggerating, like it sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not. I felt like I had a hangover from the Dominoes. Like genuinely, like a hangover. I felt disgusting.
Yeah.
And then like I thought about it, and you know they did like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. I thought like after like a few weeks had gone past and I'd lost that momentum, I thought, imagine I just did phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Like how far could have I gone?
Yeah, that's true. And also like every other element, like gym, like you said, you broke your squat, bench, whatever it was, record. That when, what was your diet plan on that? Because I actually like, I was gonna say, so I set myself a diet plan. He thinks I failed.
No. I've actually got to pull something up, right? I'm just going to throw it out there now because I didn't pull it up on the last podcast. I'm not sending for anyone, but we did have a guest on our podcast that said he did 75 hard and his diet was no chocolate and sweets. Just throwing it out there now. That's a cop-out.
That is.
I should have said it on the podcast. I didn't. That's a cop-out. That does not count.
It's not a diet plan. So basically, he just ate whatever he wanted apart from chocolate and sweets.
That does not count.
Slippy's a real motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that ain't it.
Yeah, but no, because on the podcast, I was like, and then I thought about it. I watched it back and I thought, I should have called him out because that does not count.
Yeah, he called me out on
I
mine.
did.
So like, I did everything by the book apart from one thing, right, is I set myself my meal plan, and within that meal plan was 25 grams of almonds. And like, I was actually losing loads of weight, so I increased the almonds to 100 grams after like 2 or 3 weeks. Can't remember what it was. And I told him, I was like, bro, I've increased the almonds, and he goes, "Oh mate, you failed." And I was like,
that's a change, isn't it?
I mean, almonds are almonds, bro. Like that's a healthy thing to.
This guy's gonna tell us he did a cop out on the old diet plan.
All right, so I literally ate damn near the same thing every fucking day. I ate like chicken, sweet potatoes for lunch. I didn't eat breakfast.
Did you weigh it?
I never. No.
See.
It was just like 2 chicken breasts and 1 sweet potato.
Yeah,
there's
see.
a variety.
So I didn't weigh it, but it was the same amount.
There's
meal.
How do you know it's the same amount if you didn't weigh it?
It's 2 chicken breasts, 1 potato.
Yeah, but those chicken breasts vary in size, you know.
Maybe. And this is
maybe we're just too intense.
Maybe we're too intense with it, right? Because I was counting it down to the gram, mate. Like, I was making sure the grams were on point.
I still haven't forgotten the fact I increased almonds by 75
You're on that fucking modafinil when you're making that diet plan, mate.
I only do modafinils when I got a lot of work on. So. But bro, let's pull it back. I'm interested. Obviously, like, where were you born? Like, where did you grow up? And like, obviously, it's a massive culture shock for us because, like,
of course,
you're American.
Yeah,
we're English. Like,
indeed.
childhood is completely different over there, right?
Yeah. So I grew up it's called Carlinville, Illinois. Like you don't know, no one would know that town. It's like
I do. Yeah. And I'll tell you how I know Illinois.
Go on.
Because I used to work
Carlinville.
not Carlinville, but I know Illinois.
Yeah.
Because I used to do loans. And a lot of the loans, Illinois is huge for literally borrowing money. So when I was working through like underwriting and all that process, Illinois was one of the biggest states in terms of like lending.
Like money.
So like I had to like look at like that. I had to look at like the towns through like Google Maps and stuff.
Oh, no way.
So like I actually know what the houses look like there.
Oh, cool.
It's quite run down in some places.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
A lot of the small towns are shitholes.
Yeah. Like it's
Shitholes.
proper run down. Yeah. But you can get a fat house there for dirt cheap,
Dude,
can't you?
You can buy, in my hometown, you can get a house, like a full-blown house, like talking basement, like everything for like 40 grand.
Yeah, it's mental,
Like
bro.
cheaper than a car.
Yeah. It's mate. There's some bandos there as well. Which is
And like I'm talking like a decently nice house.
Yeah,
like,
there's also some rough streets as well.
Yeah,
some proper rough streets.
Yeah, but I mean, don't get me, like it's nice. Like the people there are like so down to earth. Like it's a typical, I would assume, small town vibe for any small town ever, right?
Yeah,
everyone knows everyone. Everyone wants to help everyone. Like in my hometown, I graduated with 95 people in my graduating class.
Small, isn't it?
Very small.
Yeah.
So we had like 400 people total in our whole high school.
That's mental.
Yeah. Like we had, I think 5,000 people in my hometown. Everyone just like farms, welding, construction, like it's all like blue collar type stuff. Everyone wears boots, drives trucks, like dips tobacco, like all that
Getting
shit.
like Amish vibes.
Yeah,
is that fair?
All right. We had electricity and shit.
Oh, okay. Cool. You know the Amish?
No, what's that?
They're like
a tribe or something.
Nah, bro. They're like a subsection of people in America that basically they don't conform to like technology.
No iPhones, no electricity.
Right.
They like churn their own butter. They live in barns.
No
like,
wanking.
Really?
All types of wanking.
I've given that a go.
Super. They like literally go on horse carriages. They don't have cars.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah. But they work, mate. They're grafters.
Do they?
Yeah, they're proper grafters.
They just paused evolution in like the 1700s. But anyway, yeah. So my hometown, right? So that was the vibe. Like I grew up like, we'll call it middle class, lower middle class, whatever. Like my mom's a preschool teacher. My dad does like residential construction.
Are you an only child?
Nah. So I had an older brother. It's 3 years older than me, and my younger brother's like 8 years younger than me.
Okay, cool. So you're a middle child.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That makes a bit more sense. I was gonna say like, you don't seem like you'd be an only child.
Nah. No.
Yeah, because like, only children are usually like quite.
Yeah,
they're different, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are different.
You can tell when someone's an only child.
100%. You can literally tell. Like, but when you like were growing up in that, what were you like playing sports? Like, what were you like at school? Like, give us a bit of background in regards to yourself.
American football, like basketball, football, basketball, baseball, like year round, like nonstop. I was always traveling to different states, like playing sports. Like I was hyper competitive, so I was always playing sports, like lifting, like shit like that.
Any good?
Yeah, I was pretty good.
At what?
I was really good at football.
Is that American football?
American,
because you're soccer, aren't you? For football.
I didn't play soccer. Like, it's different in the States.
Really, it's not that big, is it? Soccer.
We got friends that like have gone to America to play football.
Yeah,
that's soccer.
Yeah,
and they just describe it like it just sounds like it's a lot more like America.
Fuck yeah, right. Like, dude, no one goes to soccer games in the States. Really, like. It's like a stereotype with like people that played soccer, and it's more like feminine guys that like were like too small to play football, basically.
Yeah,
like that was kind of the vibe. It's like if you're like a like dude who like lifts and shit, like you play football.
What position did you play? So
I was a running back and a linebacker in football, and then I was really good at football. I was really good at baseball, basketball. We sucked as a team, and I wasn't that good at basketball.
Yeah,
it wasn't my thing.
Baseball's a random one. Baseball is like the equivalent to cricket in the UK.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like,
similar.
Yeah, like it's like it's not one of the most popular sports, but the people that play it fucking love it.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of got its own like culture around it.
Definitely.
So like, I imagine that it's like very similar. Cal's a cricketer, by the way.
I used to play a lot of cricket.
Yeah. Cal would be like a baseball player in America.
We had that class in PE, and I'm like, what the fuck is cricket?
Really?
I had no idea.
The thing is, it's quite, if you don't play it, it's confusing.
Yeah.
It's proper confusing if you don't play it.
Yeah.
But like I stopped playing that when I was like 14 maybe.
Yeah.
I gave it a good go, mate. From like 10 to 14, I proper gave it a go.
Yeah.
But I'm more football, mate. I'm more of a football
100%,
guy.
yeah.
Slip's more of a boxing man.
Yeah.
Football and boxing, to be fair.
I actually have transitioned over to MMA as of the past like 6 months as well. Used to be a bit of like a boxing fanatic where I'd be like, you know, like I'm a boxing enthusiast, that sort of vibe. So I wasn't really on the MMA.
Yeah.
And then like the MMA is just so good. Like
It's
the
ruthless.
fact that like they fight the best continuously.
Yeah.
Dana White is obviously a fucking G.
Yeah.
Like top G as well. The production quality, like the content around it as well is
Master
just
marketer. He's a master marketer.
Yeah, he is. He's unbelievable, mate. Like the way he brought Nelkin.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is, to be fair, that's a good move.
That's a sick
That's
move,
a sick
mate.
market move.
Like the
That's a
equivalent
good
to Dana White in the UK is Eddie Hearn. Do you know Eddie Hearn?
No.
Like he's like the boy in
No
the
way.
UK for like boxing, if that
Okay.
makes sense. So you know DAZN?
No.
Nah, I never heard DAZN, like the platform.
No.
Okay, cool. But like he's in a partnership with Matchroom Boxing, but like he's like our Dana White, I would say.
Okay.
But he's just a lot more British and like
Yeah.
he's the boy. But yeah, if we pull back on the story, so like sports is at like the forefront of like your mind at that point. Are you like thinking like you want to go get a scholarship? Like what how does that kind of pan out?
So since like middle school, I was dead set that I wanted to be a chiropractor. Like that was like since I was like, because I was adjusted by a chiropractor as like a newborn baby. Like my whole life, I was adjusted by a chiropractor, and like
Why?
it's like it's good. It's like good to do. Like, and we don't have to go into a whole fucking health talk here, but like your whole central nervous system, like your spine, like there's receptors there that they talk from your spine to your brain to go tell the rest of your body what to do. So if you have like if you slept a little weird and you have like a pinch on your spine, that could be the one nerve that like tells your body that like you have indigestion. So like you'll feel all bloated and stuff. You're like, why do I feel bloated? And like it's because there's a kink in your spine and it can't go tell your brain, hey, you're bloated. Go take a shit. Like, you know, go like change something with your digestive system. Or like if you're having trouble sleep, like it could be because of that. So if you get adjusted, those like it's allowing the messages to be sent out to your body, and those things don't happen. So it's not like my back got hurt, I go to the chiropractor. It's more of a continuous maintenance type of thing.
And that makes complete sense, right? It's like sports massaging. Like if you play a high level of sports, like it makes sense to go and get a massage to reduce the knots so that you can continue to lift more.
Of course. So I was in that environment my whole life.
Is your mum and dad a chiropractor?
Nah.
How do you get in that as a baby then? Did they?
My mom was friends with this girl in college, and she married a chiropractor.
Cool.
That was
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in there my whole life, and I would see people like not feeling that great or having this problem or having whatever, and then they go to the chiropractor and they're smiley as fuck, so happy. Oh my God, thank you so much. You just made my day. Like I feel so much better now. I was like, dude, if I could do that all day and make $250,000 a fucking year, like that's a good life. I'm just helping people, and like I make a lot of money. Like this seems dope, and it doesn't look that hard. So yeah, that was kind of the motive. I'm like, I just want to help people and make a lot of money. So this seems like it's it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a random one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you're the only person I know who grew up wanting to be a chiropractor.
Yeah, my mate's a physio, and like I get the benefits of it, but I also understand that like it's a really hard job.
Yeah.
Like there's so much to it. I'm just like, if you just applied that to like business or even sales, like, I'm like, you would earn a killing, bro.
Yeah. And I'm not, I know it sounds random, but I'm not big on like, I don't like to take medicine. I don't like to go to the doctor. Like I like alternative health stuff, and that's kind of in that pocket. So, and I like sports, and it's kind of in that pocket. So that's kind of what gravitated me to it.
Yeah. So at that point then, like at school, what are you like? What are you doing externally other than just like sports?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had like you have like a 4.0 GPA system, and
Not really, but it's like like F's U's to like A's.
okay. Yeah. I was like a A-, maybe a B+ student through all my classes. Like I got really good grades. I mean, I cheated in class a lot, so maybe that's why. But
You did
Typical
what?
salesman, bruv.
of course. But I had good grades. Like, you know, I was relatively well behaved. Just playing sports. You know, girls. That was pretty much it. That's where my focus was.
And then do you decide to go to college at that point? I take it.
Yeah. So I was set on college. I did some entrepreneurial stuff. So like I kind of had like a random twang for it. Like I started working like 4th grade. Yeah.
How old is
like,
that?
Like 10 years old.
10 years old. Cool.
Yeah.
Doing what?
Like mowing lawns, doing weed eating, like landscaping, stuff like that. Cause like, yeah,
It's tough, play the old landscaping.
Yeah,
landscaping is harsh, mate. Labouring. Yeah, it's a tough gig.
My parents were just like, when you turn, I think, is the driving age 16 here?
No,
Yeah.
18.
18. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16 driving.
No, it's not, bruv.
Driving.
Driving.
Yeah, 16.
Mate, don't talk to me like that when you're wrong. Get
Driving.
Get up on your phone, bro.
Bro, I feel like you've lost the plot on this one. Drinking is
driving,
18.
you drive it. I'm sure it's not 16, bro.
It is,
That's a ped
mate.
age.
No, I'm going to put it in there. What's the America one? Is it 18?
18 or no, 16.
Yeah, it's 18, bruv. Oh, 17.
Oh, wait,
Ah,
both idiots.
Nah, I
Damn,
knew it was
you
like
guys are
between
both
17 or
off here.
18. It definitely weren't 16.
I
No,
knew it
no,
was
no.
between 16 and
Nah,
17.
because
mate.
I knew ped age was 16. You looked at me like I was a buffoon.
So,
All right, brother.
we're both idiots. On this
Yeah,
one.
You're
all
starting
right.
to sound like the guy who cheated on 75 hard.
Yeah, all right.
Can't get me on the chicken breast now. But fuck, what are you talking about? So yeah, they were like, we're not getting you, we're not helping you get a car.
How
So-
good is that for you, by the way?
Oh, amazing.
Now in hindsight.
Amazing. Like it was perfect. Like I was all for it. Like at the start, like, so they were like, you want to be the one kid who doesn't have a car when you're 16, or you're gonna like make some fucking money? So I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm making money. So like, I would mow lawns, landscape, like $10 an hour. I would do that when there was like snow on the ground. I would literally just shovel all the snow and all the ice off of people's stuff, and then I'd knock on the door and be like, hey, it's done.
What, and you wouldn't even say beforehand?
No.
I don't even know why, but that just reminds me of The Simpsons. You don't do that in the UK, like snow shoveling or whatever. But like,
No?
no, you don't really have that here. But it's a good hustle still.
You just fall down?
I don't know.
You just
You
slip on
don't
ice?
really get snow in the UK.
Oh no?
Yeah,
Nah,
never.
Never really.
Once
like,
every other year, maybe.
yeah, once every, yeah, you don't really get snow.
Oh wow,
here.
yeah. You
In
get like
Scotland you do, but like not in England.
Yeah, we'd get like 6
As
inches,
much.
12 inches of snow.
That's
like,
mental.
yeah,
12
we'd
inches.
we'd have like school shut down frequently because we'd have snow days.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
see,
Snow
we-
days at school was decent.
Yeah, we
Oh,
should
they're
just
amazing.
snow-
Yeah, you just
snowball
bunk off
fights.
school and snowball fights and
Oh, no.
snowball
Nah,
Tesco's.
I was making cash. When it was
Really?
Snow days, I'm like, let's go. I can make some fucking money.
Rate it, to be fair.
But yeah, I wouldn't ask people if I could do it for like $50 or whatever. I would just like do it, and I'm a young kid hustling, right? So I clean everything off. I'm like, hey, it's done, by the way. And they're like, they would feel bad.
The assumptive sell at that age.
Yeah, I didn't even know like it was a sales tactic. I
Yeah.
was just like, I either help someone out or I make money. And like I knew being a young kid, you knock on the door, you're an asshole if you don't pay them. So they're like, let me get cash or let me write you a check. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, cool. You didn't have to.
check for $5.
A proper bill. But yeah, they'd give me money. So yeah, I was doing that for money.
And then at that point, like obviously you kind of like grow out and you're doing the sports stuff at school and everything else. You decide to go to college at that point
Sure.
then.
Yeah, so I went to college for chiropractic at Illinois State University. So it's like 2 hours north of my hometown. It's like 2 hours south of Chicago, which is like everyone probably knows Chicago. It's where I live now, actually. But yeah, I went there for like a year and a half. And I was just partying. Like I had really good grades because you had to have a really high, really good grades to like make it into chiropractor school, which is like after your bachelor's degree. And like this isn't the UK. It's like 20 grand a year to go to college. Like it's insane.
It's like 9,000 here now.
Oh,
Pounds.
okay. You guys are
Yeah,
you guys are getting up
It's
there.
creeping,
All right.
bro. Yeah. Mate, I'm interested though. Obviously when you get there, you hit the party lifestyle. Like what does like the party at college in America look like for you? Like it, because I imagine it being like weird, like frat parties, like cult like parties where you have to do like initiations and stuff like that. Is that?
I wasn't doing none of that
Nah.
gay shit.
What is that about? Like the
Yeah,
whole
it's-
frat style.
It's common, right? So like there's like kind of two subsets of like, or I guess three subsets of like party life. There's like obviously you can get into a frat. You can like just go to like house parties. They call them GEDs, like just general education people who are not in a frat. Or you could just go to bars and like get a fake ID. That's what I did. I had a fake ID when I was like 16 or 17, and then I went out to bars all the time
Hit the bars.
because it's a 21 to drink in the States.
Oh yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah, so it's like everyone's 18 in college, and it's like obviously you're gonna go to the bars. So
Yeah,
everyone just
yeah.
get fake IDs. But I would just go to bars. But yeah, you were asking like what's the deal with frats?
What is that? Like, what is a?
What's the what's the
what's the
party
culture
lifestyle out
around it?
there?
Yeah. So I mean, with frats, basically you have to you go through like what's it called? You go through like initiation, and then you're like a pledge. So you have like
sounds like a proper cult.
It does,
it's a fucking
So
cult.
what? So you basically you've got a couple of like elder people, I assume, who run the frat, and then the younger generation come through and they make them do an initiation.
I
to
can imagine
join
it
the
being
frat?
quite fun.
What sort
if
of
you're involved
initiations
in
you
it.
up to?
It is fun. Like
It's a bit fruity. I'm not gonna lie. Apparently, it gets a bit fruity.
What's the initiation process?
the initiation's wild. Like I had a lot of friends that were in frats and shit like that. So like, it's like there's a lot of cool dudes in frats, but like sometimes it gets a little gay and a little weird.
That's what I'm saying. It gets fruity.
I'm
so.
like, nah, if someone tells me to do some shit, I'll fucking punch them in the
What's
face. Like, I'm not doing all that.
Just
But
give us a little
I'll give
information.
you specifics. Yeah, like
proper
I had
specifics will do.
a like friend like
Alright, boy.
dude, all the pledges. There's like a basement in the frat house, and like
God.
they dumped like different types of cereal. I don't know if you have like Fruit Loops, or like different like colored cereals. So like purple, orange, yellow, all that shit. They dumped it all on the ground, and all the pledges had to get on their hands and knees with like boxes and organize them by color.
Right.
And they couldn't get out until everything was done.
What, like, as in, like, every bit of cereal has to be in the right place, in the right color?
Like, yeah, they had to be in boxes separated by color, and it's scattered. Like, imagine the size of this location here.
Yeah.
Like, you can't see the floor.
It's just a waste of time, isn't it, really?
They just want to make you like go through shit because it makes you closer to like your pledge class.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I remember when we fucking picked up Fruit Loops off the ground. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I'm not going to lie, bro. I was expecting something a bit worse than that.
I mean, they do gay shit. For sure.
Hit us up with what it is.
There's one time my roommate, he like literally like they blindfolded everyone. And he held either someone else held a hot dog or he held a hot dog.
That's bad.
And they put whipped cream on his hand and he had to like jack off the hot dog. And I was like, you're paying to do this shit?
Oh my God, bro.
Like, I'm like, just go to the bar. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, the equivalent in the UK is rugby boys.
Yeah.
So you know the sport rugby, obviously.
Yeah.
Like rugby boys, they get a little bit loose for like their initiations. But yeah, I'm not on that stuff, bro.
Nah.
I'm out, fully out.
What happens when you've wanked the hot dog off with the whipped cream? What goes down? Are you then in the frat? Like, do you get?
So it's a semester. So it's like half of a school year. And then once you do that, then you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
So like they'll make you like get them food.
You're basically a bitch, man.
Yeah, you're their bitch. You're like an intern for the frat.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like these guys are all like.
And then once you're in that frat, you're obviously not allowed to, like go into a different frat, or you're not allowed to.
No.
No, is that like?
There's like beef between different frats.
Oh,
and
is
stuff like
there?
that. Sometimes they're cool frats, or sometimes they're like if they see a different frat, they're like fuck them up and like get in fights and shit.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird dynamic, and they like fight over different sororities, and they try to like these are our girls, like, these are not your girls. Like,
really?
it's weird. It's a big dick swinging match.
Basically just teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like A team, B team, C team,
it's
and then just
weird.
like
Yeah.
initiations for the team.
It's a weird like social hierarchy
Yeah.
for college. That's all it is.
It's strange.
Yeah, I was like, I have a problem with people telling me what to do, so I couldn't do any of that. I'm not doing it.
100%.
There's absolutely no chance I'm doing any of that.
Nah. So I was like, I'll just go to the bar. Like I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's fair. At this point, are you studying chiropractor as well?
Yeah.
Cool. And are you doing like anything on the side, like for work, for cash, or are you still like hustling a little bit?
I was like door dashing and stuff.
What's
like,
door dashing?
Uber Eats.
Oh, okay, cool.
What do you have? Deliveroo or something?
Deliveroo, yeah,
I saw that last time. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, so I was driving, just kind of doing that, and I had like a bunch of money saved up from. I say a bunch, not now. It'd be like
What was a bunch? Like
$5,000.
So you had a little float?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. A little float. But yeah, I had like 5 G's. I thought I was loaded. So, yeah, like I just DoorDash a little here and there. Just had beer money and like, stuff like that. But that was freshman year. And then like,
at this point, is the dream of being like a chiropractor still at the forefront of your mind, or of like you've gone into the semester, actually like studied it and applied it and been like, nah, this ain't the one?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I had a college professor. This is what changed everything. And I was like, maybe rethink college a little bit. And like in general, like I was like, I feel like you get to college, you're supposed to, it's like your step into adulthood. I feel like I'm further from being an adult than I was in high school.
Mate, I had the same thing at university. So my first day, and I've said this on the podcast before, obviously I was into like buying and selling at that point. And, you know, I had a little clothing line and a few other little things, and we were buying and selling from China, which our friend was importing, and like just did a few little things. And like obviously at that point I was like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, one of those vibes.
Yeah.
got to university, first day, they're like, oh, you're going to build an infographic. And I've said it before in the podcast. And I was like, what's an infographic? They were like, a poster. And I was like, this ain't the one. And from that point there, it just left like a distaste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like university wasn't what I expected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like one of my professors was a failed chiropractor, and that's why she was teaching.
Yeah, mental.
So I was like, what am I learning from her? Why don't I go talk to someone who's making money as a chiropractor? Like, this makes so much more sense. But there was just stuff like that, where I was like learning about the history of India, and I'm like, I'm trying to crack a fucking back. Like, what? I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't need to know about Buddha. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I was just like, this just seems dumb and inefficient.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of made me stray away from things. I was just going to YouTube. I'm like, how to make money online. Like,
is that the first thing you went
literally,
for?
Yeah. I was just like,
who did you find? I know who it is.
Graham Stephan was one of them.
I thought you were going to say Tay Lopez.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, he was the boy, mate.
I did sell for him, and we'll get there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But yeah, I did that. He was like, the top 3 books to become a millionaire. And I was like, Think Rich and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
So like I read that and I was like, whoa, you have to be conscious of your thoughts. And
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that book is a scam.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why'd you say that?
I watched an Impulsive with Logan talking about how like they had done some research on it, and I don't know if Andrew Carnegie was actually hired to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know the logic behind that, but it's mental because I've read that book as well.
Yeah.
And like you've read it.
Everyone has,
Very
yeah. That's an OG book.
And it's huge for you in the moment.
Sure.
But like now you look back on it, and granted, like, don't get me wrong, the principles are still the same, but now you look back on it, you're like, that is a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's bits you can extract from it that are worth
But
it.
well, the concept behind the book is like bang on, right? Yeah. But like the whole process, you're like,
yeah,
that could be fornicated. Do you know what I mean?
True.
That could be made up.
Yeah, when you have no idea what you're talking about, you're like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And now I read it, I'm like, I'm not reading this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, trust me.
What other books did they have on there? You said they had 3.
I only read that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like smoking weed all the time. I was like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't really know what I was doing. But I started like flipping like shoes. So I'd like buy a bunch of Yeezys or like Jordan 1s and like flip them and stuff like that. I did that here and there, but like I called everyone on my phone who made any type of money. I'm talking, you make 80 grand a year. I'm like, what should I do? And I
How many calls?
I probably called like, my contact book wasn't too vast. I'm in a small town. I probably called like five to 10 people that I'm like, I had this one guy who was like really big into real estate from my hometown. And like, he was like relatively successful. I had this one dude who's still a very close mentor of mine. I called him, and dude, all of them told me to get into sales. And I was like, dude, I get nervous to like ask a waiter to change my order when they fuck something up.
Oh,
like,
bro, were you like that back then?
Yeah, I was way more. I mean, I was social. Like I would go to parties and stuff like that. Like it depends on the social dynamic, but I'm more introverted. Like I still am more introverted than I am extroverted. So
That's interesting because I only know you through the internet.
yeah. So you think when I'm the guy on the camera, like, oh,
I wouldn't have said you were extroverted, but I definitely wouldn't have classed you as introverted based on our conversations. How many calls do you reckon we've had, or I've been on your coaching calls? Probably like
20, 30 minimum,
maybe 30, 25, 30 or something.
Yeah.
I would never have put you down as a baseline introvert based on our interactions.
Of course, yeah. It developed, right? So you have to lean more towards extroverted to be in videos, do podcasts, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
So it developed over time, and I got better at it. But yeah, I was more introverted. So I was like, sales, like me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, like that's not me. And then I heard it a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time. I'm like, fuck, all right, maybe there's something here. But I'm stubborn. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to work for someone else. I'm going to be my own boss. So I started flipping shoes and stuff like that. And I got scammed a couple times on flipping shoes. Like I lost.
How?
Oh, dude.
Tough gig that.
I'll tell you this. Feel free to look this up, or maybe we could slap it on a B-roll or something here. Off-white Chicago Jordan 1s. They're probably selling for like $4 or $5 grand right now. I was so stupid. I found them for like $2K or $3K or something, like $2,500 bucks. It was like all the money I had to my name at this point. And I found them for $2,500. They're selling for $4K. I was like, I'll make $1,500 bucks. This is a no-brainer. I'll like double my money down
It's
there.
no-brainer.
No-brainer. Like, come on. It's so obvious.
We know it's a no-brainer for some reason.
Yeah. And like, there's an app called Check. that verifies that the shoes are legit,
authentic,
like they're real.
Yeah.
And he sent me that, and because I was obviously a little skeptical, I'm like, why would you not sell it for more money? Like, obviously you would make more. He's like, oh, we have like a bunch. Like, we buy wholesale. Like, we just sell to resellers like you. That's why we do this. And I'm like, all right, that checks out.
Seems logical.
Yeah. And I like literally met him at a police station to like make sure everything's legit, because you're pulling up with like a shit ton of cash. Like, it's weird. Right? It looks like a fucking drug deal. And yeah, I was like, when he texted me when he was about to pull up,
I was about
to say,
Americans are so
if
extreme.
I was buying someone with loads of cash, I would not be going to a police station.
I get it, but it's just like, it's just funny, bro. Like, that's such an American thing. Like, we got loads of cash, man. We better go to the Fed station.
It's funny what, like, now that I've been here for a couple of days, like, what is deemed American and not American is
like,
hysterical to me.
It's just like Americans are so extreme.
Yeah.
So like everything is like 10x. You know, like Grant Cardone, he is the perfect American. He's like, oh, 10x, man.
Yeah.
So like, for you to be in that situation and feel vulnerable, you're like, I know what I'll do.
I'll go to the police
station.
we have guns in the States, bro.
I know,
like,
yeah, I get it's
dude,
different.
You get a gun pulled on you and take all your money. And that's it.
Like for me, I'd be like, oh, I'll bring the boys.
Yeah.
So I'll call the boys up and I'll bring like 3 or 4 boys with me, and I'll be like, oh, if anything goes down, like, we'll just take it off him.
With the amount of shoes I was buying, I couldn't be like, I need a guy all the time. I need a fucking bodyguard at that point. But yeah, and like he was texting me like 3 minutes before he was there. He's like, hey dude, my phone's literally about to die. So like, if I don't like, if you text me, I don't respond, I'm like basically there. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was like, hey, can you pull up the check on your phone so I can see it inside your app? He's like, dude, I told you my phone's dead.
Oh, I played you, bro.
Should have been the red flag. I'm like, nah. But dude, the fakes are so good these days. I bought them. It was like literally my last dollar.
How many pairs? 4 pairs or one pair?
Oh,
one pair,
They're
$2.5
They're expensive fucking shoes. Yeah.
Cool.
And I already had a buyer lined up, and then I posted them on my Snapchat story, because Snapchat is where I sold all the shoes. I had like 10 people slide up, and they're like fake as fuck.
Oh,
and I was like, what are you talking about? I had the check. I sent him the screenshot of the other guy. I'm like, look, it's real. He's like, do it yourself. So I did it in the app, and it pops up fake, and I was like,
oh no.
Oh,
and how much are fakes worth?
I don't sell, you can't.
But like at that point, we're like $50, $100.
I don't know. I was like,
you lost your cash, basically.
It's zero. Like, I'm not selling fake shoes. You know what I mean? It's like, it's unethical. It's against my morals. But yeah, so
I sold them.
You fucking savage. Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. So I took the L, dude. I went home, fucking had a panic attack, like cried my eyes out, because I have rent due tomorrow. I have $0 and a fake pair of shoes. Like, I'm fucked. And that there's a different instances where I'd pay for shoes. They'd block me on Snapchat, not ship them. Like, it's a weird, sketchy crowd with shoes. So I got out of that.
Do you not message the guy?
Oh, he blocked me.
I would have got another phone and wanted to meet and like try to buy another pair of shoes off him, and when I met him.
Oh, dude.
What are you?
Yeah.
Straight away, that's what I would have tried to do. I would have been like, I need to meet this guy.
No, I wanted to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, I would have got my cash back, or tried to get my cash back.
I reached out to, like, the name that he had was not a real name. Like, the number was like blocked immediately. The Snapchat, like, he took down the whole account, like, crazy. Like, he was like, this wasn't his first rodeo. Like, he does this. You know what I mean? So I took the L. I even called the police station, and they're like, you're a fucking idiot. Just like, why would you do this?
Call the police. Yeah. You're panicking, bro.
Dude, I was
You needed that rent money.
I did. I was like,
this is crazy.
Bro. That was down bad.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do in those situations.
Yeah, so that's long story short why I got out of reselling shoes.
Cool. So at that point, what do you do? Because like you've had like basically some conversations with people that you respect in regards to what you should do next.
Yeah.
You've then spent your last dollar. You're not enjoying chiropractic. So like, how does that kind of pan out next?
Yeah. And keep in mind, I dropped out of school by this point.
Oh, you dropped out. You had already made a conscious decision to drop out then.
So around the kind of shoe selling-ish era, I dropped out.
How'd your mum and that take that?
Dude, she's a teacher, bro. She just like respects the school system a ton. So she initially, like, I paid for all my school, but like, I think there's like, they paid for like my bedding in my dorm, and like, I think like $1,000 or something towards like one payment or something, like books or something like that.
Yeah.
So she's like, you can't drop out because we like put money towards your school. And I was like, all right. The true objection handling in me was like, bullshit. Like, I'll get around this. So I literally withdrew again, went back to bank account to zero. Basically all the money I had to my name. Cause it was like about, I don't know, to probably like, I think it was like $2,200, something like that towards my college. And I had like $2,500, like $3K or something my name. So I withdrew everything from the ATM, drove home, didn't tell them I was going home, and handed them the cash. I'm like, that's it. Like, if that's the only reason I can't drop out, here's the money I'm dropping out.
Fair
and
play.
they're like, we're like, if you like don't have money for rent or like don't have like money for like anything, and this entrepreneurship you're doing doesn't work out, like, we're not helping you. Like, you're dumb for dropping out. Like this, and they like kind of were just let me do it because they thought I was just gonna fail.
Yeah.
And then like I would go back to college, and then they'd be like, "Oh, dang, okay, we're back, right?" I didn't fail though. I mean, I could have failed multiple times. I just didn't stop. But yeah, I don't know if that answered the question.
It makes complete
Yeah,
sense.
of
So
course.
at this point here, when you're paying rent, you're not paying to them. You've got to pay the landlord, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. So what do you do at that point? Because you've got no cash, you've got a fake pair of shoes,
Yeah.
and you're pretty fucked, to be fair.
Yeah.
So like, how does it roll out from there then?
Yeah, I literally, so I did sell like a couple more pairs of shoes. Like I got a loan for like $4,000 from like one of my friends that like had some money. Bought a couple pairs of shoes, flipped them, like paid rent, like a DoorDash to deliver rude all day. And I made like a couple $100, and I was like 3 or 4 days late. Like I paid it. Like I could make money fast. I was always flipping random shit.
Yeah.
And making money. But yeah, so I came up with rent, and then I was like, all right, back to zero again. Like we got 30 days to make some cash. But long story short, I got out of this whole reselling stuff, and I was just like, all these people who make way more money than me, have way more experience than me, and have been down the road, are older than me, told me to get into sales. I half took their advice selling shoes. Maybe I should just like actually get a fucking sales job because I don't know what I'm doing running a business. So then I basically landed a role with a sales agency.
How did you find that role? Because this is way before like remote closing is in the mainstream. Like
It was like micro a thing. Like,
yeah. Like,
I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna become a remote closer. I was like, I'm gonna pay rent.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know. I was like, oh, sales, sure, yeah. I was like, I wasn't like, I didn't have some master plan. I was just like, I need to make money, and like these guys, said it did it. So like my girlfriend Michelle, she was in network marketing, and they had like a sales trainer guy like go up and like talk. She's like, hey babe, like you should probably listen to this. And I did.
Who is it?
His name's Daniel G.
Shout out Daniel G.
Yeah.
You're the band. And I met him in person and thanked him.
That was the wrong camera, by the way, mate.
The second I
This
looked,
is you, brother.
I'm like, oh, fuck me. Daniel G, you're the man.
We'll cut that, don't worry.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Editor got my back over here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I hopped on like this Zoom call, and I was like, oh wow, like I could sell someone's service. It's not a physical product. I have to go to a fucking police station and risk being robbed. Like I could just sell it, and then they could go talk to the business. I don't have to talk to them again. I could just do this volume because I meet someone in person, I'm closing. You know what I mean?
But bro, at this point, you have no sales experience, right? Other than like, literally face to face selling shoes, which is basically order taking, right?
Yeah.
So
and
like
I'd sold supplements for a friend, but like, you know what I mean? Like
you got
nothing-
basically you're at
nothing.
ground zero, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously the first call like must be quite fucking daunting, right? Jumping into the sales, especially
shit.
considering you were introverted.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The way I even got the sales job was he's a big personal brand. So we go on Instagram Live. There's like 500 people. I request to speak. I didn't think he was going to like pick me to speak. He did. And I asked him for a sales job in front of 500 people. He's like, you have the balls to like ask me for a sales role in front of 500 people? Like you probably do all right on the phones. So they hired me. My first call, bro, the guy answered, and I freaked out and just hung up on him. I swear to God. I was like rehearsing the script all morning. I was in the mirror for like an hour. I take my first call. I'm like, oh my God.
You've crumbled, bro.
The first,
Just hung up.
I was so, I stared at the phone for like 15 minutes for my first one, and the guy didn't answer. I'm like, let's go.
The thing is, right,
Yeah.
like obviously with your brand now on Twitter,
Yeah.
right, and like the closing Bible and everything associated to it, and we're definitely going to get into that.
Of course.
Those people don't even know
No.
you started like that.
Everyone has their first call.
And like they probably see you as like a sales trainer. They probably see you in like maybe like almost like a, how can I describe it? Like a fantasized view of you as like an elite closer.
Sure.
But like everyone starts
Absolutely.
in the same place
Yeah.
at the bottom, bro.
Yeah.
And like for you to be hanging up shows that it is just skill development.
Yeah. I had everything stacked against me. I was fucking introverted. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I was selling an SMA package. I didn't even know what SMA stood for. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Yeah, like everyone has their first call. Everyone has their first everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, there's going to be the first rep, and you could expect to suck for like at least 3 months before anything is relatively fruitful, unless you just have a natural knack for something. But yeah, I mean, I just had a Google sheet with a name, number, and an email, and I did about 150, 200 calls a day. I'd wake up at 7 a.m. and I'd call people on the East Coast in the UK. So I didn't wake people up out of bed. And then I'd go until like 8 o'clock at night, and I'd call people in California because the time zone was a little bit different. It wasn't so late. And I'd do that every day.
Was this for the SMA Tay Lopez course?
So they're like a sales agency. So like they knew I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So they put me on their worst client by far.
Yeah.
And then I overperformed, and they're like, all right, like this guy's, he's good. They moved me on a little bit better of a client. And then like, all right, he crushed that. A little bit better of a client.
Let's talk through that then. So
Sure.
like you start off terrible, right?
Yeah.
As in like introverted, hang up the first call.
Yeah.
But you just hit the dials so you get experience, right?
Pure volume. Yeah.
Volume in terms of like reps for confidence, right?
Yeah.
You get onto the next offer. Like how does your selling ability actually develop? Like, is there any thought process behind it? Is it the coaching element, or like, is it just reps?
There was one guy at the sales agency that made 70 grand a month, just closing. And like,
Decent.
his name is Rome. He's a G. And like here and there, I'd be like, bro, like, please, like I hear your call, I hear my call. It's like a different language. Like, it's not even recognizable. Like, what do you like? I know you're doing good stuff. I know it sounds good. I know there's a thought process behind what you're saying, and I don't understand that. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's like a method to the madness here, and I don't know what's going through your head when you're doing all this. And he's like, all right, like we'll do a mock call. So like he gave me probably a couple of these, and I was like, oh, okay, it's starting to click. And just through volume, you kind of learn a little bit. But we had a sales manager, he's kind of an asshole, but he did help. He'd call me at like noon, like 11 a.m. Be like, what the fuck? No sales, Garrett. I'm like, got it.
Mate, I hate that. So like the firm I'm at the moment, like with the stats and like my experience and stuff, like I always say, like, I'm an afternoon killer. I always say, don't worry. I said, by the afternoon, I'll be crushing it. But like morning sales, everyone knows morning. I think morning is more difficult to close, right? Mm-hmm. It's more difficult because like pickup rate is definitely lower. Yep. I think people are more in a buying state after a day, after they've like managed to get themselves.
Sure.
Like, I think they're probably less sharp, so they're more in a buying state.
Yeah.
But like, I hate it when a sales manager or someone comes in and they're like, what have you got on the board today then? And you're like, it's 12 o'clock, mate.
Give us a chance.
There's fucking 7 hours left. Like, give it a rest.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I just learned through like a couple of the guys who were doing better numbers than me, and just being on a better offer with like, more client results and like all that stuff. But then, I did move up to Thai.
How was that? Because like that course there is probably, and I'm going to say it, it's probably the most influential course of our generation.
Ever. Yeah, definitely. Like, it was legit, dude. Like, there was like so we had like what was it? It was like, I think it was like $1,500 ecom course and like a $2,000 like SMMA course. And I sold the fuck out of the SMMA course. Like that was my thing. It was relatively easy. Like, it was like when that just sitting in my garage ad was kind of dying down, like we were still running the ad. So I was like closing people off of that, like fucking legendary ad.
You know the ad he's talking about, Kyle?
So
he's holding the camera in his garage. He's like,
yes.
"This is my Lamborghini."
Yes, I know which one you're on about. Yeah.
So yeah, I was closing people that, and I was like making like I had my first like $4,000 a month, and I was like, oh my god, I'm rich. And then I float like 4 or 5, maybe 6K a month there. And then they either Ty dropped them or vice versa. And then they put me on this sketchy dude's offer. And I was like, nah.
What does sketchy mean? Scammy.
Yeah. Like,
what was he scamming out?
It was like an e-com coaching, dropshipping kind of guy. The first day I was there, they, I don't want to talk shit on anyone, but the dude literally has like a cast on. He shows his ad was like, he crashed when he was skiing and broke his arm. And he's like, I can never drop ship again, so I'm giving everything away at a 50% discount. And I was like, dude, like what?
Why couldn't he drop ship if he broke his arm?
That's my fucking point. I'm like, dude, quit being a bitch. Use your right arm.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
He hadn't thought that through.
No, I think he's just trying to be funny, isn't he?
No, he was like,
Sympathetic though, is
no,
it?
it looked like he was about to fucking cry. He was like,
it's
I
mental.
can't do this anymore. I'm giving everything away. Like it was, he's like, I can never do this again.
It was a play, yeah.
Yeah. It was just really manipulative stuff, and I was not about it.
Isn't it
So I
weird
left.
when you sell something that you can't align with in terms of like your moral compass?
Can't sell it.
It's so hard to sell. Like you're forcing it, or like you're pushing it, and it's almost like swimming against tide because you're just like, I don't want to sell this guy,
No.
but I need my comms, and you're like, does he really need this?
Yeah, and like I think what it comes down to is it's like if the prospect's doubt outweighs your conviction, they win, and they're not buying shit. And if your conviction's not that high and their doubt's high, you're like, it's got a good point.
But then if you push your conviction higher, you force a
You'll close.
sell, and if you force a sell, you'll either close them, feel bad after,
Yeah,
or not close them because you essentially push them away because you're doing too much.
for sure. And I was just at the point where it's like I had a little bit more financial cushion. Like I knew the game a lot better at this point, and I was like, okay, like there's got to be other stuff out here. So I just started moving on to better. I left the sales agency, which like gave me a great start, good trampoline there.
Fully remote at this point still, right?
Still remote for everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just a never-ending loop of selling for better and better offers until for like the past couple years, like 3 years at least, 3.5 years, 4 years maybe, 3 years.
It's a strange so like if you come from like a traditional sales background or like you have sales experience from like the normal world, the remote world and like the internet world is murky waters. So like I've been on a few offers now, and like I always find that, not always actually, sometimes I find that entrepreneurs are too optimistic. If they're too optimistic, they overflate the numbers in terms of lead volume and lead quality. Or like they're shady, like you said, they're like murky, like they have no idea on the process and what they're selling. So like when you're jumping from offer to offer, like are you trying to find like good placement, or like is it more just like there's a better opportunity there, I'm going to jump to that?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing I was looking for is like client results and like ethical moral compass first.
100%.
Like, I don't care how much I can make. Like I'm not fucking people over for money. Like that's not me. Like I'll never sacrifice my ethics and morals to make $1. Like that's like a firm, like non-negotiable for me.
Is that like a big thing in the sales world, the whole ethics and morals?
No.
No.
No. It's actually the polar opposite, mate.
As in like, people, is it like a big thing that people aren't ethical or moral?
Yeah. Well, I would say so. What do you think?
I would say, generally speaking, that's what gives salespeople a bad rap.
Yeah,
right?
snake oil salesman, like that term.
So it's like, it's funny because like every time someone hops on a call with the closing Bible, we say one of our qualifications is like, I have to make sure you have an ethical, moral compass. If you do sketchy shit, you're not getting in.
100%.
Same thing with the businesses. I'm like, I want to know if I give you money as a client, what happens next? Like walk me through your fulfillment process. Like show me your client results. Because if that's not there, we're not giving you a sales rep.
Right.
Just what?
Yeah.
Like,
mate, it's
I don't
playing
give a fuck.
it's playing the marathon, not the sprint, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I rate that and I respect that. But like from like a generalistic viewpoint, like salesmen are known for being shady.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm out of that world and I know them for being shady, but I didn't know if like the whole remote closing world, the things that you guys do, I didn't know if that was the similar sort of thing.
It depends. There's bad apples and everything,
Course,
just like anything else. Like there's sketchier offers, there's super duper legit offers, and it's just like it comes down to who you know, how you vet the companies, and where you're finding the companies and all types of stuff like that. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it also comes down to like some companies, I don't know what you think, but some companies in the Twitter sphere specifically and that like internet world, I feel like they're going to be around for like a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
But they don't play like for like 10 years, 20 years. They then jump on to like the next vehicle.
Right.
So when they do that, like it's basically sell as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Do you think that's fair to say with some offers?
It depends. It comes down to fulfillment. Like if you have good fulfillment and you have good client results and like goodwill is compounding, you're getting referrals, like you're building your name for yourself. Like the only reason you stop is if you're not doing that. Like if you look at the next shiny thing to rebrand yourself, like that's just a major red flag. So like, yeah, like I'm going to be doing what I'm doing for the next 5 to 6 years minimum.
Yeah.
Like that. I've been doing it for 2 years now, right? Like I'm not going to stop doing this. I don't have a next shiny thing until I
100%.
exit.
It's the exact same with normal business though,
Yeah,
right? You
sure.
get the exact same like with
Yeah.
like normal business premises that aren't like internet based businesses.
Mm.
So obviously look, you for that period you jump on like offer after offer, gaining experience. What was the best offer you sold on?
Probably, so there's like two different financial consulting kind of type of offers. There was one, it was B2B. So they would pair businesses with SBA loans, but it was like most businesses, I mean, you've been in this space, right? So most businesses will like go to one lender and they'll be like, oh, we're not giving you money. Like, oh, I can't get money for my business. And then they just stop. And we're like, that's not true. So like we had relationships with these lenders. And then we obviously met with them, and for like 10 grand, it's like SBA consulting. So we'd like pair them with the right lender, they give them the most capital, the lowest interest rate, in the shortest span of time, like just pair them with the best lender basically. So I make a grand commission on that, and then we would get kickback commission for the person who like, you know, obviously these guys sending out the loans, like they get commission too. So we're sending them deal flow.
Yeah.
So we'd get a kickback too, like referral commission, which is cool. So I sold that for like a while. I did a couple million for them. And then there was like we'd help people be more like hands-on with their portfolios. And that was like a big heavy hitting offer where I'd like, literally had like my last month, I had a 76% close rate.
That's insane,
It's
mate.
stupid.
That's literally 3 and 4.
It's nuts. Yeah.
3 and 4 you were closing.
Yeah.
Is that because of the offer, or was that because of the offer and the skill set that you had?
Offers, skill set, marketing. Like it was like they had just like 600 testimonials. Like it was mad. I'm picking up on the UK slang already. But yeah, like the marketing was phenomenal. The lead qualification system was phenomenal. When we started, like I had like a 30% close rate, but I was on the offer for a good chunk of time. So I was like, every month your closing rate should go up a couple of percent, 5-10%.
As it's going up, obviously your pay packet's going up in terms of your commissions. So
Yeah.
like when you're at 75%, like what comms you actually earning at that point?
It's in like 20, 30 G's a month.
Hey, and how old are you at that point?
21.
21.
Yeah.
21 getting to remote closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid. I feel like a god.
Yeah. But at the same time, obviously, like you are grounded, right? Especially
Yeah.
for your age, mate. And I don't mean that in a patronizing way. I just mean
No, yeah.
like it's a really, really good quality in yourself. At that point there though, like when you are earning 30 grand a month, like does the money start becoming a bit of an ego like inflator at all?
I like money was so like tight in my family. Like when it was towards the end of the month, like you could just feel the tension and the stress in the household.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just holding on to everything. Like there was no ego there. Like my rent, absolutely like everything, expenses, groceries. I was living on like $1,000 a month.
Oh, you kept it minimal.
Yeah.
I'm putting like 29 G's in the bank like every fucking month, and it just like my bank account is just stacking, and I'm just like not spending money on anything. Like my only like indulgence spend was like I would like go out to eat more.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I had a car that I paid cash for when I was 15 that I still had up to that point. I had like 200,000 miles on it. Whatever the fuck that is in kilometers. Like it was like is about to go. Like that car's almost done for. And I was like living on like nothing. So like I wasn't like spending money like crazy or like big ego, like none of that really.
When did that transition then? Because like that mindset is really, really valuable in the initial stages.
Sure.
But it also becomes limited, right? Because you're not reinvested in yourself. You're not reinvested in the business. You're not reinvested in anything. So like, how do you like break out of that? Because sometimes people get trapped by that ceiling, if that makes sense.
It's a limiter.
Do you know what I mean?
To a certain extent, it's a limiter. Like
it's really, really good in the initial stages.
Of course. And like, I'm still big on, and I really try to stick to this, having like a 15-to-1 like income to expenses ratio.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a psycho about it. I love that shit. Like, fuck the flashy stuff. Like, stack cash. Because like, I don't want to be fucking 65 years old still going hard. Like, I mean, I love the game, so like, I probably will. But like, I don't want to. I don't want to have to. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to. So like, I care more about stock on the bank than letting people think I have money, right? So I'm still like that to a certain extent, but it's definitely different. And what the change was I was in Bloomington, Illinois. So it's like, it's a college town. There's like 150,000 people. Like, it's not a big entrepreneur scene at all. Like, it's a college town. So like, I was hanging out with people that are like 40, 50 years old that like own gyms or real estate or restaurants. And like I don't know if you know State Farm Insurance by chance, but like their headquarters was there. It's like one of the biggest insurance places in the whole States.
No idea.
No idea. Yeah, I thought you said yeah. I was like, what?
It's all American, I'd assume. But yeah, so I was hanging out with all these guys, and they're making like 20 grand a month, like 30, like maybe 50. And I was like, I just legally can drink alcohol as of this year, and I'm making damn near as much money as you. Like, I feel like a big fish in a small pond. And like they always say, like a fish will only grow to the size of its tank, right?
100%.
And I was like, I can't get any bigger here.
Were you conscious of that though at that moment?
Yeah, I felt it because like I was meeting all these people. And like, you're making how much? Like, you're fucking 21. You didn't graduate college? I'm like, no. It was like, and don't get me wrong, like they've been in the game so much longer. I had a shit ton to learn from them. Like I was very conscious of that. But objectively, look at money. I was like, we're kind of in the same ballpark here.
I love in America that like everyone is so supportive.
Yeah.
So there's like this nature in the UK where like have you heard of like crabs in a bucket? Yeah. So like that is like a known thing in the UK, right? So like people don't openly discuss money as much. Yeah. People aren't as supportive of people like starting businesses. People can be quite jealous.
Yeah.
People can be quite like
it's quite a selfish society.
Yeah, like they can be quite like I don't want to say it for everyone, but like the whole culture around business and entrepreneurship is more like tear them down than build them up.
Yeah.
So like I love it when I hear about America because they're like, oh man, you're making like 20 grand.
We've had a couple of people on the podcast as well who have gone to America to do business, and they say the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just like aim for the stars.
Yeah, and keep in mind the internet like puts a big magnifying glass on this like 5% of people that are like this. Objectively speaking, like you sound like an asshole when you're like, oh, I'm making this much money, I can afford this.
But like if you're having a conversation with like someone who's 40 and you guys are like talking, it's like, how much are you doing?
They want to help you.
Yeah.
Like I have a mentor, it's like 55.
Yeah.
Never going to give this guy $1 ever. And he just like loves to help me, dude. Like,
yeah.
Just cause. Like,
I love people like that. I've got a business coach and he's helped me for like the past 3.5 years and like he's never asked for a penny. And I just like, he's just like, I've said to him before, like, why do you help me? And he's just like, I like being around good people and I see a bit of you and me. And I'm like, I would like to do that one day.
Fuck,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but it's definitely like that in the States relative to here for sure.
So whilst you're stacking all that cash, how quickly do you start actually investing in yourself?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me was the location change. I mean, like I'd bought some coaching programs and stuff like that for sure. Like I started buying a couple, like I had a really high close rate, but I was like, I'm sure different people are doing different stuff on the phones here.
Who'd you buy off?
I went through like Jeremy Miners, Cole Gordon's, Nick Cosman, which he's not directly sales, but he has some sales stuff there.
Cole Gordon's a G, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
No,
he's sounded reluctant there, mate.
He's great. I mean, like we play sales reps too.
Sure.
And we play the sales reps for free right now. So if you go to hiresalesreps.io right now and you get a free commission-based sales rep, it's free. And like our reps tend to outperform his reps and he'll charge 10, 12K. So like there's nothing like against the guy. He's fucking great. Like
he's a good closer.
Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
But he's doing like 30 million a year now. Like the volume of placements and people that go through his stuff, the quality control drops at the level of volume that he does. And like a lot of the sales teams we staff reps for, like they start hiring our reps and then they fire the reps that they paid for with Cole and they just exclusively come to me because our reps outperform his reps.
And yeah, I think you're probably looking at it from like a business perspective because like that's where you're at. When I like say it, I'm like looking at him as a closer.
Oh, he's a dog on the phone.
Yeah, he's a killer,
he
bro.
can close, for
He's
sure.
a killer, bro.
For sure. But yeah, that was my like reluctance.
Yeah.
He can fucking close for sure. I like his selling style. It's like him, like all the names I just kind of listed and then just like books, different stuff like that.
And is this where you jump on Twitter, I take it?
Yeah. So like as I was on this offer, I was like, I can't close more than 76, dude. Like I like would have to be unethical and close people that are not qualified for the service to do that. And I'm not doing that. Like it was literally like they're qualified and they pay or they're not qualified and I don't give them an offer. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's not much wiggle room there. So that's what it was. And I was like, all the closing friends I have, they don't really make more than this closing. Like you either have to like manage a sales team on RevShare, like start your own business, or like do something. So I was just like posting on Twitter, like, I took like 5 calls a day. I closed like 4. So I made like 28 grand in sales and I made like $2,800. I was like, or 3K, whatever. I was like 12% commission. So I was just like posting this stuff. People were like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
How do you do that? How do you do that? And I was like, I'd go on Twitter Spaces and I was like talking to different sales guys. I'm like, oh, I tried this today, worked really well, and I had no like financial incentive to do this. I was just like, I'll probably do something, so I probably just like let people know what I got going on and just see kind of like what happens. Like, I just kind of want to meet cool people. Like, that was it.
I like that. And I resonate with that because like when I started on Twitter, when I started closing and stuff, like I was just almost like discussing my journey.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I'm like, oh, I tried this today. This worked really well. And then like you would get good traction off it. And then you get a DM from someone who's in closing. He's like, oh, I tried that today. And you're like, oh, like nice.
It's cool. Yeah.
But like what I don't like about the Twitter sphere, and you probably experience this as well, no one shows the lows.
What do you mean lows?
As in like, say for example, you lose a deal.
Yeah,
and you're like, I lost the deal because I fucked it here.
Yeah.
But like, no one shows those, and I'm like, people should show those.
Absolutely,
like, they're good.
There's more lessons from that than like your highlight reel.
100%.
So yeah, like I did Twitter Spaces, like I do it every day for like an hour. I have my friends, we'd kind of shoot the shit, but like people would ask me business stuff. I'm like, oh, try this. And then we'd have like sales teams and businesses are like, dude, I tried that. Like, and it's so basic. It'd be like, hey, like make them pay on the call. And they're like, dude, I made like 30 grand this month. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, good. And like a couple of businesses, and then eventually people were like trying to pay me. And I was getting annoyed, dude. I was just like deleting all the DMs. I was like, fuck off. Like, I'm taking sales calls. Like, I don't have time for this stuff. And if there's like 2 months of me just like ignoring these people, like, hey, can you like train me? Like, hey, like, can you like, you know, coach our sales team? Like, can we pay you for like an hour of your time? And I was just like, I'm so busy. Like, I don't like, it's so easy for me to take a sales call for an hour. To do something out of my ordinary is like, it's more mental energy than just taking a call. So I'd rather just take a call. And eventually, I don't know, there's something annoyed me 1 month with the offer that I was on. It's like, we had a bad lead quality or bad show rate or something. I was like, I had like a day or two with no calls. And I was like, let me look at my DMs.
Yeah.
And this one guy, he ran like an NFT marketing agency. Like, he would help people like launch their projects. He's like, dude, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I just can't really close a deal. Like, I think my offer's off. Can I hire you? And I'm like, you're not making any money. Like, you're not going to hire me. But like, I'll help you. Like, I have no calls today. You want to hop on Zoom? And dude, I tweaked his offer. I tweaked his pricing. I tweaked his sales call. A bunch of stuff. And his first 30 days, he made 100 G's. And then within the 90-day span, he made like $500,000. He's like, hey, I feel bad. So, and he just sent me 10 grand. And I was like, oh, well, fuck. I'm like, all right, that's the chunk. That's like a third of a month, right? So I was like, all right, this is interesting. And people like ask me for a sales rep, and I'm like, oh yeah, like my friend could do it. And they're like, cool, can we like pay you? I'm like, sure. And I started paying like $2 grand for like a sales rep. So I was kind of like recruiting, doing a little consulting. People would pay me like $500 to hop on like an hour-long call, and it just kind of like snowballed. And then like 1 month, I was like, all right, there's like actually something here, and like I keep trying to do free stuff, and people are paying me, so it's like I should not ignore this. And then 1 month, I like actually was just like saying yes to everything on top of my closing, and it made like 42 grand that month, and it was like half and half between closing and this stuff. And I was like, what if I spent all my time doing this? Because this is me like 2.5 hours a day. Maybe.
1 foot in, 1 foot out vibes.
Yeah, I'm like probably 2/3 of my time is on closing, not this stuff. So I'm like, what if I put all of my time into this? And then I did. And then
the Closing Bible was born, right?
Absolutely.
You decide in that moment to launch the Closing Bible. Now, is the Closing Bible at that point like kind of exclusive to Twitter as well, I take it?
Yeah. I mean, like there were other sales guys who were on different sales teams where I was like the best closer on the team. Like,
yeah.
Yo, dude, I was waiting for something like this. Like, can I buy it? And I just, everyone of my, all the DMs I deleted, and like everyone on Twitter and stuff like that, like naturally we're just like, yeah, like I'm down for something like this. So I just did like, at first I just did like a test group with like 5 people for like, I think like $5 grand maybe.
And how long ago was this?
Like 2 years ago.
This is before you would say like remote closing was as mainstream on Twitter. Is that fair to say?
I think it's a bigger deal now for sure.
Yeah.
It escalated, but it was a well-known thing for sure. But yeah, it's kind of like a test group. I'm like, listen, like, here's my track record sales wise. Like, I can close deals. I don't have a proper sales training built. So like I'm doing this more to learn about how to deliver a better service. So I'm going to do it for super cheap. And we're going to do like mock calls. I'm going to do call reviews. I'm going to do like, you know, like whatever. And then as I learn like what you guys like and don't like and what's beneficial and not beneficial, I'll kind of like add it and like make proper videos and stuff like that. And then structure sales trainings around how this goes. So I kind of got like a bunch of feedback, and I just did that at like pretty cheap just to like learn how to make the product better for a good chunk of time. And then when I was really confident in the product and like got really good client results, then it started raising prices and, you know, a little bit heavier on marketing, you know, stuff like that.
So how do you actually build out the closing Bible? So it starts with like some one call trainings, when in reality at that point, like you don't have too much coaching experience based on what you said, right?
Right.
So like how do you build it out in line with like your development as a coach? Because like they kind of go parallel, right?
Sure. So like the one-on-ones became redundant, where it was like, hop on a one-on-one, it's like, okay, this is off. I got to a point where I was on 10 one-on-ones a week, and I'm repeating myself every fucking time the exact same things. And it's like, all right, if I put this in a video, they'll know. It's like building an SOP for like business stuff, right? It's like, we say this so many times, like, let me just make a video. And then they watch the video, and then that was less of a mistake. And then it's like, this was a recurring theme. And then it's like, okay, I'll make a video on that. So it's like, as that repository of videos got built and people like watched the videos and then applied them, there was less of that. And then it just became less and less one-on-one and like more videos and like a little bit more group stuff. As shit became redundant, I just made videos on it or like, you know, group trainings around it. And then it was like less of a problem as time went on.
And at this point, is this where like firms come to you, offers come to you to place sales reps?
So it evolved a lot. Initially, it was just solely like training. So it was like, it would be like agency owners that are like, hey, I can't really close. I'm struggling to close deals, would join, or like sales reps would join that just wanted training. I didn't have, you know, guaranteed placement or any of that fun stuff at that point in time. It was just solely like consulting. I was just kind of saying yes to everything. There was a point where I was managing like 4 sales teams because I was just saying yes to everything. I was like, all right, I can't like place reps, manage sales teams, train business owners to close their own deals, and train reps and help them land offers. Because it's like, if I'm the jack of all trades, that just means I just suck at everything. So I was like, I need to like kind of realize like I can do all of these things, but if I do all of these things, I'm going to suck at all of them. Like, let's find the thing that people want and that I'm the best at, and then just double down on that.
And what was that?
Training, and then getting placed on killer offers, because we'd have people that were crushing. It's like they knew how to go about the call, but they'd have like 5 sales calls a week because the marketing for their offer sucked, or their fulfillment for the offer sucked.
Yeah.
And they'd get objections, and they're like, how do I handle this? And I'm like, it's kind of a shitty product. Like, I don't blame them. And like, I don't think you should, again, like sacrifice ethics and morals just to make a buck. So like, you probably leave the offer. And they're like, well, where do I get a good offer? And I'm like, fuck. All right. So I got to figure out how to get people good offers. So it's kind of how it evolved, was like when things that were out of my power, that affected like how well a client did, it pissed me off. So I was like, how do I make this in my power so I can have more ownership on like client results? So I was like, okay, if I vet the companies, I guarantee the placement, so I know they're on a good offer, then that will kind of help. And then their only true inhibitor is sales ability, which I can of course help with. So that's kind of how it evolved.
And how do you develop like your sales ability at that point? Because like you've only been in sales for like 2-3 years at that point, right?
Sure.
So like, how do you like develop your skills if obviously you're coaching people, which you're going to learn a lot from, but like,
sure,
how do you like continue to develop your skills so that like your ceiling isn't hit and like there's more to what you can actually relay to them?
Yeah. So I mean, one thing I left out was it was a short span of time and a wild story, but like I managed a sales team on RevShare and built one from like literally like nothing to like a couple $100,000 a month. So I learned a lot from like managing reps and how certain reps learn and like stuff. So I was like coaching, but it was like I was managing the sales team. So like I learned a lot from that, and just from myself. Like I was doing, you know, like you said, you're kind of going in monk mode, doing a bunch of stuff like call reviews, like a madman, like, you know, studying objection handling, like all types of stuff. Like I did all that work, you know, and I was in sales for 4-ish years, you know, prior to starting the Closing Bible. So I was like, it was just kind of developed over time. And then through coaching, as certain problems arise, I kind of built frameworks on handling a certain objection or how to do this certain thing. So that's what the beta test group really helped me with, was developing that kind of like coaching style and developing my sales ability. So things really started to click as I brought on more clients.
100%. And like, you know, like obviously how many people you coach now?
175.
175. Like there must be like some common themes across like the pupils, right? So like what are like the most common themes, and like, I guess like how do you break them out of those like habits in order to actually make them like proper sales reps?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the sub app. So door-to-door guys, they just come off so salesy at the start, and they're not used to an inbound lead. They're used to being a dog on someone's porch, like, give me money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, take a breath, like breathe, like chill. Like they came to you, don't fucking bite their arm off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like when they can make the flip from like, I'm not selling you on why you should buy my service, but you need to sell me on why you are allowed to buy my service. Like when door-to-door guys make that flip, they fucking crush. Corporate sales guys are usually, because they have to go through so many decision makers, and like usually the guy who's writing the check you don't even talk to, it's such an analytical money in, money out sale. When you have to like bring emotions into play, they're like, what? You know what I mean? Like emotions are so like foreign to be such a big part of the process. Cause like usually like a 3-4 month sales cycle for like a you know, corporate sales generally. And it's a more analytical, less emotional sale. So when it's like you saw an ad 2 days ago and in a 45-minute call, you want me to ask you for 15 grand? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like we gotta get, you know, some emotional, like, you know, heavy rapport in that sale. And I'm not used to that short of a sales cycle. So like asking for money, on the phone before they review a contract for fucking 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, is weird for them. So it's like, there's usually micro problems for whatever they did in the past prior.
100%. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I sway more towards that logical side of sales because like when I sell on emotion, like I find it quite, I just find it a bit more difficult, if that makes sense, because like I can sell on logic like that, but like selling on emotion is more like, it feels a little bit more like scammy for me personally. I'm not saying it is by any means, but like I just mean like it feels a little bit more like it's intrusive, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like there's like, that's what we do on onboarding calls. It's like we get a feel for them. It's like you're a B2B guy or you're a B2C guy. Like, for sure. Like you're a B2B guy.
100%. Yeah.
Like, and like the more sophisticated of a prospect, like the more money they're making, the more the size of the company they are, the more analytical they are. So you just know like that's your avatar.
Yeah.
Like if you were to sell a fitness coaching offer to a 40-pound, like a 40-year-old mom who wants to lose 10 pounds.
Bro,
like,
I'd have no sympathy for her.
You know what I mean? It's
I'd be like, just stop eating and just
eat some
fucking train.
salad. Yeah, right? So it's like, that's not for you. So it's like, we kind of get a read on them. Like we've even had some people do personality tests to kind of get a vibe for like what they would do best on and then gravitate them towards that. So
what do you think like a sales rep should be doing, which is most beneficial for them external other than like sitting qualified appointments? Like what do you think is the most beneficial to actually improve their skill set?
Call reviews and reviewing other, like if you're a setter, hop on the phone with the best setter on that sales team and then different top setters on different sales teams that sell different offers. And if you're a closer, listen to the call recordings of the best closer and yours and really everyone else on the sales team. Cause I think every closer on a sales team has different nuances to the way they sell. Yeah. And like when I started doing this for different sales teams I was on, like I was like, even on the last offers on, I really had close rate. Like when I was at like, I got stuck at like 50% close rate, like boohoo, 50%. But,
1 and 2 is a good ratio, brother. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like there's certain like sub avatars that I would struggle with, or like certain parts of the call that just got weird, or I would talk too much or whatever. So I was like, all right, let me listen to some of these other guys. Yeah. And they just did completely different stuff. Like there was stuff I'd talk about in the call for 10, 15 minutes. They didn't even mention. And I was like, all right, like let me kind of pull from this and kind of create my own thing. So I think that's the best thing to do is, even if you don't agree with everything a closer does on the phone, you can pick some nuance from it and kind of put it into your stuff, give it a shot. So like what I would do is basically like, I would do that. And then I would be like, all right, this week I'm focusing on my intro, right? The first thing I say in the call, I'm just going to get right into it. No small talk, no fluff, no bullshit for like 3 days straight. And then the next 3 days, I'm a small talk. I'm going to go heavy on rapport, fucking ask them where they're from, like about their family, like deep small talk, and then see for 3 days and then look at the data. Like what was better here? You figure out a winner, do that. And then I go down to the next part of the call. I make one tweak, 3 days, do it. And then I go through the whole flow of the sales call, making these micro tweaks and micro adjustments with 3-day sample sizes.
What does that actually look like though? Is that like a so like we can sit here and talk and discuss that, right? But what does that actually physically look like? Are you call reviewing, adjusting for the following week your script, and then analyzing the closure rate, or like how are you actually doing that in like a incremental process?
So like close rate, so like objective numbers, like the beauty of sales is it's very measurable. It's like they give us money or not. So I would look at close rate, and then I would watch
on that though, like how do you take into account like follow up? So like you and I both know first call close is difficult, right? A lot more difficult than say like the follow up. So like how do you measure the data when you need to take into account the follow up for the preceding week, or are we basing it on first call close?
I was majority one call close.
Were you like 75%?
Yeah, I mean like it was like annoying to me if I had to book a follow up for like the next day or 2.
Really?
Like,
mate, I rate that.
Dude, I would tell people we don't do follow-up.
Really?
And they're like, what do you mean?
That's a Brian Tracy line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I got it from. They'll be like, oh, yeah, can we talk sometime, two days from now? I'm like, we don't do that. Like, oh. I'm like, yeah, no. That's I'm like, that's just not like how we operate as a company. And they're like, all right, we all do it. It was crazy, right?
That's what Brian Tracy says in I can't remember the book, but it's specifically about closing.
Psychology of Sales?
It's Psychology of Closing, I think. It's about like the closing lines, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
But like, mate, I find that quite a ballsy move, bro. Like, I feel like it can lose the deal, mate. For me, like.
Yeah. I definitely like, you got to feel for it, right?
Yeah.
Some people need that push. Some people, if you give them that push, they're like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, depending on personality type, you know, like, all right, I could do this or not. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, give me if we had like a morning call, I'd be like, talk to your wife, talk to your business partner, you know, fucking, I don't know, twiddle your thumbs. At the end of the day, let's do like a 15-minute call.
Yeah.
So I'd give them like a couple hours, and then we'd close end of day, or like if absolutely necessary the next day.
Yeah.
And then also like independent of just that, because there's so much nuance with sales, I'd watch the call recording and see like their physical reaction when I said the thing. And if they're like a little standoffish, or like looking at their phone, or like kind of zoned out, or if they lean forward and they're kind of looking at me like this, they turn their head, I'm like, oh, this is working. So I'd look at their reaction too.
And then you would analyze the data in terms of the closure rate, and then adjust the pitch for the preceding week. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really good way to like approach it. And I think like something that I found valuable is just like analyzing where I've lost deals as well.
Yeah,
because you can hear it in like the tone.
Yeah,
I've like listened to calls where I've like lost literally in one moment where I've asked for the close too early or something along those lines. But like I found like that was really valuable.
Yeah.
Do you think it's as valuable to listen to the losses as much as it is to the wins? Because I know Cole Gordon says you should just listen to wins.
No, fuck that. The losers are more important than the winners. Because like I would look at the lost deals more, because I'm like, they were either unqualified or I fucked up. So there was a reason. If they were qualified, I would review those like a madman. Like at the end of every day, if it was one I should have closed that I didn't, I'll review that, pen and paper out, watch that, like press pause every fucking 10 seconds, and I'd be like, oh, I rambled for a second here. That's where I lost him. Like, I'd see him kind of mentally check out, or like check his phone or look outside, and looking all over the room. I'm like, I just kept talking. Like I didn't be like, yeah, you good? Like the fucking birds out in the window? Like what's going on? You know? So,
I love that you call them out as well. Cause I like from after going through the training and like speaking to you and stuff, like I've implemented that more.
Yeah.
And like it works, man.
Yeah, it crushes.
I'll be like, say for example, someone's on a call with me and like, they're not paying attention or they're not talking. I'll just be like, should we call it a day? And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'll just wrap this up. Cause if you're not interested, then there's no point me continuing the conversation. Yeah. And like, they're like, no, I am interested.
There's like a light undertone of humor lets you get away with everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like, you could say something with no humor, you'll sound like a fucking asshole. You said the touch of humor, it's like, oh, this guy's just got a little sense of humor, you know? Like you can get away with anything. Like, I would do stuff like that all the time.
100%, mate. What's your favorite close you've ever done? There must be one in mind that stands out to you.
My favorite one is probably, I closed this one dude from India for 16 grand.
I've listened to the call.
Yeah.
That
one felt good.
Yeah.
It just felt
the
good.
app guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that call.
Because like, you know, not to, you know, anything here, but the +91 leads are kind of tough, you know?
Mate, language barrier is difficult.
Rough.
It's fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Like language barrier regardless +91, they're kind of rough. It's true though. They are difficult closes.
Yeah, they don't like spending money, you know?
100%.
They hold on to the pounds, you know?
It's true, bro.
So like,
True, bro. It
like-
actually is.
I was like 16 G's. I'm like, what is this, like $30 million in rupees? Like, what is this? Yeah, that just felt good because he had a 25K offer. So I'm like, I can make this guy so much. Like I get him one more closed deal. He's already made an ROI. This is like a no brainer. He's doing like $100 grand a month US and India. It's like, this wasn't, you know, he's doing well. Like he's a fucking trillionaire over there. Yeah. So, yeah, that one felt the best. It was literally just like, I did so well pinpointing the problem, and like I explained away every single objection. So when it came time to close, he was like, yeah, we had a little bit of an issue just because, you know, he's from India. It's like, can't just send him a fucking Stripe invoice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you take crypto? Like we do a wire transfer? Like how do you give me money? You know?
Yeah.
But aside from that was the only real objection.
Yeah. No, mate, I rate it, mate. And I guess we're on the like sales vibe because like it's what you do and how you do it. And like I enjoy listening to it and like it's interesting. But just to pull back, like with the story, obviously closing Bible. Yeah. At this point we start developing like some serious traction, right? Because we've got the placement as like the offer, and we've also got the coaching side of things. Correct. So like, how does that kind of roll out up until today? Yeah.
So I mean so like we have closingbible.com and we have hiresalesreps.io. So hiresalesreps.io is where like online service-based business owners doing north of $1 million a year can like get sales reps for free, which is wild. It's not going to be like that for long. And then Closing Bible is like sales training for experienced sales reps that have experience in some way, shape, or form. Sales training and guaranteed placement into roles. So they kind of feed into each other really well, which is unique. And then we have to balance this, like, you have a teeter-totter, like in playgrounds where you like sit on one side and it goes on the other?
Seesaw. Yeah.
A seesaw.
Yeah.
It's a weird seesaw, right? We have to have an equal amount of sales positions open as we have like reps. So it's a unique balance. But that's what we got going on now. So now we do about 20 successful placements a month, like ballpark. And the goal is to get that closer to like 80 to 100.
Yeah, man, and I think that's achievable, 100%. How do you feel when like some of your pupils or some people that have gone through your course then start becoming coaches? Because like I've obviously been through your courses and like I'm in the Closing Bible, but like I know a couple of other boys that have been through the process that are now like sales coaches. So like, does that like make you feel good? Because you're like, fucking hell, like, it's a good thing that like my guys are now teaching my stuff, or like, is there sometimes a bit of like, oh, you didn't run that past me? Do you know what I mean? Them vibes.
Yeah. I mean, there's 7 billion people on this planet. Like, I think it's dope. Like, go make money, like do your thing. But I'm like, I know where you're at like 90 days ago. So it's like, maybe like you should get a couple more reps under the belt, you know, at least do this for like, you know, a year, like, it's like at least, you know, but to each their own. It's like, I'm not afraid of competition. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Like, go make money. I don't give a fuck. But I generally think you should probably have a little more experience under your belt before you go build stuff.
100%. And where do you kind of see things like going in terms of like, not only the business, but like yourself? Because like at the moment you're really active in the group, right? You're active in the community, like, but how does that actually develop and how does that roll out? Like, what's the plans in terms of like next steps for you in the business?
Sell the whole thing for $30 million.
Is that the plan?
Yes.
Oh. I didn't expect that, bro.
Yeah.
That was a curveball, bruv.
Yeah.
Why? And why 30 million? It's a random number, right?
Well, I met, it was 10 million originally, but I met Alex Hermosi in person, and he's like, you're thinking way too small. So he told me 30, so it's 30.
Talk us through that then. So what, you meet Alex Hormozi because you went to his event, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, he was just like, you're thinking too small.
Yeah. So he was like, how many, like, what qualifies a client for you? I'm like, sales experience, obviously, like, you know, good English, and predominantly like US, UK is where we get our clients, and they have to have, you know, existing sales experience. He's like, cool. Pulled out his phone, did a couple Google searches. He's like, it's like fucking 20 million or whatever, however many, like, it's like 5 million people that could be your client. He's like, and then for the B2B side, I'm like, online service-based business owners doing north of $1 million a year. And I kind of explained the types of businesses, and he did a little Google search there. He's like, how many million businesses there are? And he's like, $30 million? He's like, that's like nothing. Or 10 million. He's like,
I can imagine him saying it like that
dude,
as well.
he's literally just like, we do that like with one portfolio company in 1 month. Like,
Yeah.
Like 10? Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. I'm like, bro, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm 20. Yeah, I was 22 at the time. So I was like, it's hard to, like, the magnitude that he thinks at is just so impressive.
Yeah.
So he's just like, that's like nothing. Even 30 is like really small. I was like, shit. All right, I got to think bigger. So just one of those things where it's like the magnitude and size that he thinks at is just like, that's so small. Like, so it just kind of expands your thinking when you're around people that like do big numbers.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes complete sense. And so you're going to sell the business in 5 years' time for 30 million. And then what? Any idea?
Contemplate my existence, I guess.
Sounds like a shrooms trip you need there, brother.
Yeah, I need a proper one after that, yeah. But yeah, I mean, self-storage units are appealing to me. Like I'll probably buy those for like cash flow, like kind of real estate thing. It's something that's been in the back of my head for a while. I've actually talked with a couple of businesses that are intrigued and like potentially buying. Like a lot of the people who own them are a lot older.
So what's that? Sorry.
Self-storage
units.
Yeah, like
right.
where you like buy a commercial building, then rent out each room for storage.
Yeah, you have like it's just like a little like metal cheap building.
Yeah.
And you just I mean, it's a typical American thing. We're all fucking hoarders. We just buy shit all the time.
It reminds me of that program. What is it?
Yeah, I know which one you're on about.
Storage hunters. Yeah.
And they open up the
But that
containers.
guy's always like money.
Oh, you talking about Storage Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
show?
the one.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right,
what
so
I'm
like
talking
containers.
Money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy's crease on it. He makes me laugh.
Yeah. But
They're
that's
always like going
that's
through
appealing
the
to me.
stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, man, this TV, it's worth like 200 G's." And you're like,
You're like, no, it's not.
"No, it's a fucking bit of tat, bro."
So why storage containers?
I think real estate is intriguing to me, but it seems like a headache. Like, because basically I'm gonna sound so American here. If you raise rents by 20%, like you got a, $2K a month rent, you raise it $2,400, you're a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's gotta like move out, like, should change the whole trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
If a storage unit's $100 a month and it goes to 120, it's like, am I gonna move all of my stuff out? Like get a moving truck, like sweat my ass off for a day straight to move all this stuff for like $20? Like, no. And it's the same profit increase.
And how big is that concept in America?
Huge.
Is it?
Huge.
Yeah.
Everyone has too much shit. So it's super common. Like they're everywhere. And like 75% of the market is just mom and pops. Like it's not big commercial companies that like run shit. So it's like, it's not hard if you have a little bit of business acumen to like run through most of the competition, because it's like a mom and pop. They have to do it on the side. It's kind of like their little retirement thing. Like it's not like we're going to like grow and like build this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just seems relatively easy and like just not that hard. Like you can literally, you don't even need a worker on the premise. You put up some cameras, you could have an automated gate pad. It's like put in your little code. You can go drive to your thing. It's relatively simple. Like the customers don't really churn. Like you have extra stuff. You're not going to like go back and forth there all the time. You're going to kind of forget you bought it, and it's just stuff that's collecting dust. So like you might be there 2-3 years before you're like, oh, I should probably cancel that.
Yeah.
So it's just appealing. It seems not like hard, like operationally, or like complex to run. And I mean, real estate just gradually goes up in time over value, and there's like cash flow there. And it just seems relatively simplistic. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
'cause
makes complete
in the UK,
sense.
it's just like not really a thing.
Well,
Yeah.
it is. It's
Well-
just competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not as big as a thing by the sounds of it in America.
Sure.
Because there's more people and more stuff, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
But I guess that kind of brings us full circle, mate. And like
Mhm.
we usually leave it on a question, which is next steps, but we've already asked that. So
Sure.
I'm just going to ask, mate, like, which country's got the best sales reps? UK, US, anyone in Europe?
That's a tough one. I mean,
Ireland. Ireland's got to be in the mix,
dude,
on it.
I think it's Ireland.
Ireland?
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
Irish boys sell,
Irish.
mate.
What?
Irish boys crush, bro.
Yeah.
We have so many businesses that are like, give me more of them Irish boys. Like they crush. And I think it's because like it's US companies.
Yeah.
So when they hear that accent, like, I mean, even like same thing with like England here. It's like The accent is just so like, I even say like every time I get on a fucking call with you, I'm just happy as shit when I leave. Like I just can't be in a bad mood. Like, oh, fucking cheers, mate. Like I love this shit, bro. Cheers, mate. I can't be in a bad mood, right?
Yeah.
So when prospects hear it, they're like, oh, like where are you from? Like this accent's so different. Like it's, I don't know. It's endearing. So yeah, prospects love it and they close out a deal. So I'd probably say Ireland boys take the win.
Shout out to the Irish boys. Fair play to them.
Yeah.
Bro, obviously it's been sick having you on.
Yes,
Where
sir.
can people find you? Where's your websites? Just list everything off.
Yeah. If you're a sales rep, go to closingbible.com, watch our video, book a call. If you're a online service-based business owner doing millions, the minimum, ideally 5 to 30 million a year, get sales reps from us for free, commission-based sales reps that are remote. If you look up Garrett Campbell on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you'll find me. Twitter and YouTube or like Instagram, I guess, kind of my main platforms there. So you'll find me there. I have a free sales course. You could find it. That's it.
For sure, mate. And thank you so much for coming on. We really
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it, brother.
Yes, sir.